We're live, boys. Good Wednesday evening to everybody. The 6th of October in this year, 2021. We are less than 2 months away from the year 2022, which is kind of wild to say out loud. Reid Fowler, Geoff Ulrich, yours truly is Emerson Lotzia. This is the Slate, this show. We bring it to you with a smorgasbord of analysts and hosts Monday through Friday here on the DraftKings Dream Stream and also Twitter. Talk all sorts of stuff. So today we'll focus a little bit on tomorrow night's Thursday night football game, guys. We'll look at some Sunday main slate. We will talk the Shriners Children's Open, or whatever the name of the PGA Tour tournament is this year. They did change it. We had Len Hochberg on this morning. He confirmed they changed the name, Reid.
I know. But like I mentioned to you, it will always be the British Open to me.
Yep.
And
I get
this
it.
is essentially America's version of the British Open. And it's got the Open name in it. It's Shriners, Hospital for Children Open. I know it's a mouthful.
This used to be like the Justin Timberlake for children's hospitals for children's. Like it used to be like 20 words. I mean,
I like to type it out in every article. You type out all of it. I was just
keep cutting it down. Next year it can just be the Shriners. Let's get to that point.
That's fine.
That'd be great.
I thought there was a tournament called the Shriners already, but I guess not. This is it. This is it. I just want you guys to know this is it. Okay, let's start in the NFL though, because before we get to sports betting DFS stuff, a lot of news coming down this week and today. First off, biggest news of the day, Trevor Lawrence is turning 22. It is Trevor Lawrence's birthday today. So happy birthday to the white Jesus. We love him. We appreciate him. Lord and Savior Jacksonville. And Lord knows they need it right now. What a terrible, terrible week for them. But big news today. Stephon Gilmore was traded, dudes. So Reid, I'll start off with you here. It really feels like, I don't know, maybe they should have traded him a little earlier in the offseason, maybe could have had a little bit of value, a little more value, but 6th round pick. I know Rule with Carolina, where he was traded to, said this was it was too good to pass up. I don't blame him. I'd take a shot on Gilmore just for a 6th round pick. Yeah,
now you have CJ Henderson, the deal they made, right, for Darnold. For a couple of weeks ago, or was that last week? I can't even remember when they did that deal.
From the Jags.
A couple of weeks ago, yeah. But this is just another reason. And look, the Panthers probably looked at what they did with Dallas and said, we still need help. All right. Shaq Thompson will be out for a couple of weeks, but that doesn't affect this move specifically. For the Patriots, they were just under the cap. So releasing or getting that off the books, right, for Stephon Gilmore, which I believe he's owed, Geoff, if I'm not mistaken, like 5.85 or right under $6 million. Before
it's like $7 million, I think.
Salary, yeah. Before they would essentially get nothing for it.
Right.
They had a 6th round pick, and what does Bill Belichick do with 6th round picks? He makes them into superstars. That's what Belichick and the Patriots do. So I think this is perfectly fine. I think if you're Carolina, you say, we'll take this, right? We'll take this. And they're just going to strengthen that defense even more. Now, Gilmore has to get healthy, right? But the GM was saying that he should be ready to go for week 7. And that's 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away. That's not bad at all. And Carolina, they have something good right now, right? And they want to encapsulate that. And they want to make sure they push that forward. So I really like this deal. I thought maybe Tampa or the Raiders, if you were to get cut, would be those teams that would offer him big money. Tampa maybe had less money than someone like the Raiders. The Raiders I don't think they had a ton of money, but big injuries to the secondary. And a guy like Gilmore can definitely help if he's healthy.
Yeah, I think the $7 million may have scared like some teams away, but it's a good opportunity for him to kind of go, and because all he's wanted is a new contract and more money from the Pats, Geoff, which why I think he never really hit the field here, because Girardi said, listen, right now he's healthy and he's being told there's nothing wrong with his quad, but an opportunity for Gilmore to kind of go and prove to everyone, even at 31, he could still be close to that defensive player of the year that he was a couple of years ago, and hopefully get paid in the offseason.
Yeah, I think that's what probably scared a few teams off there too. I mean, just that obviously you have to pay this guy whatever you're going to give up. If you don't, you're just giving away draft picks. And then also, he did not have a good year last year. So you mentioned the 31, it's the age where guys decline. I'm not saying he can't still be effective. I think it's a good trade for Carolina. They're in a good position, and they probably, they have to keep doing this. Like, they don't want to start just relying on what they have. I think adding the guy and shoring up the defense is smart, because they're a solid team, but like, if Sam Darnold regresses, at least you can rely on your run and your defense. It's really smart. So yeah, it's a good pickup. We'll see what Gilmore does, but like ultimately to get him at that price, You're right. I'm not sure why the Pats didn't move him this offseason. Maybe they just I have no idea. Anyways, but
Yeah.
good move by Carolina. And Reid's right. It does make sense for the Patriots. They obviously weren't interested in paying him. Their defense is playing well without him. Yeah, get what you can and move on. I mean, they pull the Band-Aid off.
Okay, so real quick before we move on, my guy Ryan Hannibal, who works for WEI here in Boston, pointed this out, and this was super interesting to me. In 2018, the Pats had two definite and at least one more fringe Hall of Fame players. They had Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and Stephon Gilmore. You want to fast forward 3 years, the Pats don't have any of them, and all they got in return for those three guys is this, guys. 3rd round compensatory pick, 4th round pick, and a 6th round pick. Kind of crazy. Yeah. And we see what Tom Brady and Gronk are doing right now. And who knows if Gilmore comes back. And again, looks like an all-pro.
It is. I guess they could have tried to move Tom Brady, when he was still under contract. I mean, they used Tom Brady a lot. Them getting nothing for Tom Brady isn't really a loss. They played him till he was 40. I mean, you can kind of give him a pass there. Gronk retired. So I get what that stat is saying, but I think the only one they may have screwed up on is Gilmore, because they probably could have maybe moved him over the last 6 months. But
yeah, and to your point, Geoff, if you look at quarterbacks now that teams haven't moved on, right? Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger. Look, Ryan's playing a little bit better as of late, but this is his last year, Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. You're seeing the decline before your eyes. And Bill Belichick, what do we always say about him is that he cuts players before they reach that point. Yep. Having Brady play as long as he did was a respect to the greatest of all time to do it, right? And two, that, this is a guy that's playing well into his mid-40s and he's a 2nd-rated quarterback right now in fantasy. I don't think he ends there, but this guy is being ultra productive for your team, right? So Brady is the anomaly, but look what happens when these teams they hold on to their quarterbacks for too long. You see the deterioration, and then now you're trying to pick up the pieces. Now then you're trying to get these guys 70 cents on the dollar, just so you can recoup at some stuff and then start building for the future. So I get what Geoff is saying. I completely agree that you have to get at least something with Brady, of course, but that's a little I get what that tweet is saying, but it's a little misguided in the sense of you got 6 Super Bowls.
Yep. Exactly. Fair, very fair. And there are a lot of people replying and Pats fans reminding him that as well. But underperforming defense to the Patriots. So they also went out and they're taking a gamble on Jamie Collins for a 3rd time, his 3rd stint in New England. I think other big news of the day, and this is something that you have been talking about since week 1, Reid. And Geoff, I know how you feel about the running back here in Chicago, but Justin Fields has been named the Bears starter moving forward. Reid, why do you think Matt Nagy changed course now all of a sudden?
You sure it wasn't someone who's controlling Matt Nagy's fate?
Break.
Look, I'm happy, right? So this is a happy face. This is the happy emotions. But I mean, this guy, Matt Nagy, just last week, and probably this past weekend, said that when Andy Dalton is healthy, he is our starter. Then the day Andy Dalton gets healthy and is practicing in full, what happens? Justin Fields didn't go out and perform admirably. He performed better than the absolute worst that he could have performed against Cleveland. So yeah, of course he performed a lot better. But what was the difference, right? The difference was the guy upstairs said, Nagy, if you put Dalton back in, we're firing you on the spot. End of story. Yeah. Because this guy is going to put butts in the seats. This guy's going to electrify our offense. And guess what? David Montgomery, our 2nd best player, essentially, right on the offensive side, is out for 6 weeks. If we're lucky, we get him back for week 11. So you need a running game. And Damian Williams is fine. But Matt Nagy said, okay, yes, I want my job for the next 6 games or 11 games, whatever it is. So I'm going to start Justin Fields. That's all that happened.
But yeah. I feel like, Geoff, the offense just found its identity, had an identity with David Montgomery, and it sucks because I know you have him in your season long because you just kicked my ass in fantasy with him. But with him out now for 5 to 6 weeks, I mean, how much more difficult does this job become for Justin Fields? You're sliding in. You don't even have your running back anymore.
And Emerson picked up his backup.
Yeah, no, that's on me.
Yeah, I used my waiver wire.
I think I decided to take Latavius Murray and not keep Damian Williams. Anyways, whatever. Good for him. He's 0-4. Let's give him a little win here.
Dude, terrible.
Yeah, no, I think Reid is probably right. That's probably exactly what happened. I guess you could make the argument. Justin Fields he averaged like 11 yards per attempt against Detroit. Now he only threw the ball 17 times, but like you see the downfield action is there. So maybe Nagy just like, okay, this is what we wanted to happen, and maybe just needed to see it. You could say I don't know. I have no idea. There's no trying to make sense of what's gone on with Matt Nagy and the quarterback situations there. I think we can all agree on that. So I almost don't even want to try. I'm just glad that Fields is the quarterback going forward. He's going to end up taking more shots. I think you could see some spike weeks from Darnell Mooney. And to your point, without the running back, Damian Williams averaged like 6.8 yards per carry last week. He's a pretty good running back. So
Thank you.
I don't think they're going to lose too much as long as Williams can stay healthy. He's going to inherit a big workload. So, rush back David Montgomery, because I don't like Williams may not be able to stand up to this heat either. But I think hopefully you'll see Justin Fields running a bit more. If Matt Nagy's smart, he'll get him outside the pocket more, but that remains to be seen. It's going to be up in the air how this goes on the Bears offense, but at least we know, we're going to get to see the guy now. So
no, I agree. Williams is not Montgomery, but he's established for sure. And he's more than capable running back who's found plenty of success in this league. Also, let's not forget, I forget which week, is it week 6, Tariq Cohen can return as well. And he'll probably play a big part in that passing game. And
there's been some rumblings. His injury isn't coming along that great, but
that sucks. Okay.
Yeah, him being back would definitely help the Bears right now.
Okay. Well, what do you say we poke over to tomorrow night? That's when week 5 in the NFL here, guys, will kick off. The NFC West grinder. It continues. It's a big one. So it's the Rams. This is in Seattle, I believe. So Rams taking their first loss. Seahawks coming off a big victory. But Sean McVay is 6-3 head-to-head against Pete Carroll. So you look at this one on the DK Sportsbook, and I'm looking at the Rams right now, 2.5-point favorites on the road, Geoff. And we talked a little bit this morning on the sweat with the Seahawks and that defense, because we were talking about Matt Stafford's passing yards prop, and I believe it's 300.5. But you expect the Rams to go on the road and bounce back following their first loss there. That was to Arizona, the only undefeated team now in the league.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are a really hard team for me to figure right now. They're not a team, I don't really know if they're really even a good team. They might actually be a bad team. The problem is you can't write them off because of their quarterback. Like Russell Wilson, much like Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay for many years, masked so many problems. And it looked like they were about to go and lay another stinker with San Francisco until Russell Wilson walked over the sideline, said, let's go up tempo. I'm going to win this game. And that's what they did last week against the 49ers. So I like the Rams are the better team here. I don't think that's like a hot take or anything. They're favored on the road. They're minus 2.5 favorites on the road. I still don't really want to trust them. I would much rather trust Russell Wilson at home coming off a game where maybe Pete Carroll is finally going to say, okay, this is what we need to do on offense, and just let Russ +3 if you can get it. I know it's at +2.5 right now. I would feel better paying up to +3, but even at +2.5, I think I'm taking the points with the Seahawks here. The Rams got handed to them they got their lunch handed to them last week, man. No bones about it. The Seahawks see that it's a division game. I think it's going to be close. 3 points. I'm pretty sure both the games between these two teams last year were really close. I know one of them was field goals. I'll take the points here. Give me Russ. Just keep riding.
Yeah, that's what. And going off that point, Geoff, for me, Reid, this looks and kind of feels like a final possession game in the fourth quarter. So, which side would you side then with Wilson at home to be the hero?
Well, this number's opened at 1.5. It was actually down to 1 at some point. So if you got it at 1 on the Ram side, that's probably the one that I would like the most. I agree with what Geoff is saying about Russ, but when you look at this team, Geoff, and Emerson and everybody else watching,
thank you,
for that matter, is that their time of possession is the lowest in the NFL. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean much, but when you take a look at how many offensive plays that these guys run compared to a team that they're going to have to put up points essentially against with the Rams, I get a little bit worried about what Pete Carroll wants to do. Now, what I think goes to what Geoff is saying in his favor is that Alex Collins now is probably going to be the starter because Chris Carson has got a lot of neck pain based off of the reports that are coming out of practice, and he's a game time decision. I doubt, especially with how Alex Collins looked last week, that Carson goes out there. That means you're going to have to pass more. You're going to have to take chances against Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf. You're going to have to open it up with a guy like Tyler Lockett, Swaim, Gerald Everett is back off the COVID list. You're going to have to do that, especially because Seattle's defense is not good. They are giving up every which way, run, pass, whatever you want to do. Seattle's allowing you to do it on defense. So if that's the case, then yeah, at home, you want to essentially get those points. But for the Rams, look, Seattle is coming off a must-win game last week, and they won because Trey Lance came in and he looked like a rookie quarterback. And the Rams, I think to what Geoff was saying, they got their lunch handed to them. But what that means is that right now, instead of week 10, week 11, week 12, when they're already established and they got some injuries, that big loss, that wake-up call happened in week 4. I look at the Rams as a much better unit, especially Aaron Donald against Russell Wilson. For whatever reason, Aaron Donald has Russell Wilson's number. Every single time these guys play each other, Donald gets like 3.5 sacks. So, and this offensive line for Seattle is it's better than last year, but it's not good.
Yeah, that was it.
I'll take the Rams. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a versatile Cardinals offense that the Rams lost. But we did see that defense kind of spring some major leaks trying to deal with Kyler, which every team has struggled with them this year. Although the Cardinals kind of had a weaker schedule, would you say, like opening up, right?
Had a couple gifts. I mean, the Jags.
Yeah. Hey, Jags won the first half in that one, okay?
Yes,
Give them some credit.
Jags covered first half.
All they needed was like a 150-yard field goal.
All you need is James Agnew to return 110 yards every single play.
Neither quarterback, by the way, is the most expensive when it comes to the showdown, to the Thursday night showdown, which there is a Millie Maker there on Thursday night. There's a Millie Maker on Sunday. It's like every week here, ladies and gentlemen, just you could become a millionaire by throwing a few bucks into the Millie Maker. But Cooper Kupp, guys, Cooper Kupp at 18.6 would be the most expensive player on the board to captain here. We're talking 1.5 times the salary, 1.5 times the points though in return. Is he worth it, Geoff?
My God, I mean, leading the league in targets.
No touchdown last week. He's human. First week this season.
Yeah, I mean,
without a touchdown.
He had a pretty terrible game. It's good, under 50% completion rate. I do think he's the fade here. I mean, this is you do not see this very often in showdown where you get a receiver. Not only is he the most expensive, but he's like most expensive by like $1,000. So, and we have a rushing QB in Russ Wilson. Like, it's not like we have like, Jared Goff versus Sam Darnold here. This is like a couple of elite quarterbacks. This to me just screams like it's time for Robert Woods. I love going to Robert Woods in this game. I also think if you really break down the matchup and where Seattle, I know Kupp has been moved all around the formation. He has been used more down the field this year, but Woods is the down the field guy. And on the outside is really where Seattle struggles with like Trey Flowers, who they just keep going back to him. But they do have some guys over the center, like Quandre Diggs, who can semi-shut down guys. I think they'll make Kupp a focus. I feel better going to Woods there. And just at that, I mean, Kupp could get you 20. Kupp could find the end zone here, get like 60 yards. And still, it might not be enough at that price. That is a monster price. So I think he sets up as a fade. You've got 3 wide receivers, 15 or under there for captain spots anyways. I'd rather go to those guys.
But the one thing I'll say is those 13 targets he had, you said under a 50% completion rate, which is true, but those 13 targets were a season high for him. And he is a clear cut go-to guy, Reid, for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to get you 26, 27 points to probably just break even at this price. And for a receiver, right, that's a lot. You got to get in the end zone. Look, there have rarely been guys better than Cooper Kupp this year that have been doing that. What you like about Kupp, so here's a pro for Kupp, is that Seattle's defense has allowed slot and receivers that line up tight, amazing games. And guess where Cooper Kupp lines up for the most part? In those two positions. Having said that, the guy who was doing that before Cooper Kupp was Bobby Trees. And Bobby Trees is like half the price, right? And so from a showdown perspective, you have to find leverage, right? I think just human nature is going to say, well, Cooper Kupp had back-to-back games with 2 touchdowns and 30-plus points. Then, of course, right, he's going to replicate that. But you also got to think that defensively, they're going to think, hey, we need to stop Cooper Kupp. Like, we need to make sure that this guy does not beat us and make everybody else beat us. The thing about that is Van Jefferson has been getting sort of the wide receiver 2 treatment. Deshaun Jackson plays up for big games, and this is a huge division game. And so he's always there. And that's why when you look at these guys from a captain perspective, on the Rams side, from a receiver point of view, it's a little tough. I'm with Jeff. It's Bobby Trees. It's Robert Woods for me if I'm going to the captain, but I really like Darrell Henderson. Yeah. Like I tweeted this out earlier today. Yeah. Seattle's defense is allowing the most yards, the most attempts, like the second most like receptions to running backs. And Darrell Henderson got 90% of the workload last week. He is a clear-cut number 1 running back in this high-powered offense. And that's what you kind of want to do, right? When there's a huge total, when there's receivers galore to play, usually you go to the tight ends and the running backs to get leverage on a showdown like this and put them in your captain spot, because rarely are you going to see people put Tyler Higbee or maybe even Darrell Henderson in their captain spot. So if you want to find some GPP pivots, those are my 2 favorite guys. But other than that, yeah, Robert Woods is the guy that I would want to go to from the receiving side for the captain spot.
Oh man, you would expect Henderson just to eat against that league worst run defense too.
And I think just to finish off that point, sorry, buddy. It's just what Reid just going through that list. There's a lot of ways the Rams can get there. Like I know Cooper Kupp's been dominating the scoring, but like at some point, Henderson's going to have a monster game. Woods is going to have a monster game. Higbee might score like 3 times or something.
Yep.
So yeah, it just all screams, I think you got to fade him here.
Yeah, it's also important to know, going back to Cooper Kupp, I know he's a native of that area too in Washington. Ooh. But Yakima, is that how I pronounce it? I'm not quite sure. I have a friend who lives in Portland, so that's kind of in that neck of the woods. But Seattle did contain him pretty well in 2 games
Jeff's
last
year.
year.
Of the woods.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. You're right. I thought you were right by Buffalo, but anyhow,
right above it.
So if anyone watching is going to roster a lot of the expensive dudes in this one, can I get a value play from both you guys?
Geno Smith. No, do not.
Don't do it. Also, I was today years old when I learned Geno Smith was on this team. Is it Seattle? No idea.
I mean, it's got to be Alex Collins, right? Like, right? He's $3,200. Like he potentially could be the starting running back for Seattle. Now, like volume, right? He needs volume, and that's what you're going to get. Does he get in the end zone? Maybe. But like, maybe Travis Homer is the guy that you want from a PPR standpoint. But I think it's him, especially with the news that came out today.
Yeah. Probably steer clear if Carson ends up playing, though, right? No need to.
Well, no. I mean, look at what the Rams did against 2 running backs that Arizona deployed. Chase Edmonds. Look, Alex Collins and Chris Carson aren't Chase Edmonds, right? Then James Conner. They're not. But like, I think that's what you have to do against this Rams defense is you got to keep guys. You got to keep them going. You got to keep them fresh. And I think you have to deploy a 2 running back situation. And this is what Seattle's going to want to do as well. Pete Carroll will not fully let Russ cook. He just won't. That's just not in his nature. They're going to run the ball, even in game scripts where it doesn't mean that it doesn't allow them to run the ball. They're going to do it. So I do think that Alex Collins can get you 12 carries. And if he gets you 60 yards and a touchdown at that price tag, that's extreme value.
What are you doing for value, Ulrich?
So, I mean, Reid is dead on. I actually will like Alex Collins even more if Chris Carson plays, because I don't think Chris Carson will get a full workload. He actually hasn't looked that effective either. Alex Collins, clearly a guy Pete Carroll liked because he grabbed him off the scrap heap last year and gave him a shot. And now he's basically the backup / co-starter. So, yeah, Alex Collins is the best value. Like, it's not even close, I think. I don't mind taking a shot with Gerald Everett here.
Yeah.
If he plays, obviously he's got to get cleared, but he is kind of on track to get cleared. 5 targets in his last game. He's caught every single target. You see 9 targets this year, caught all but 1. It's a revenge game. Sure, you can play that narrative, but I don't even think it's about the narrative. I just think it's a good setup. We know that, Jalen Ramsey going to be taking away a lot of options kind of at some point, but Gerald Everett is a guy who can kind of just be sneaky over the middle, give the Rams some problems. And, that has been a slight area of concern for them already. So just guarding against the tight end allowed a good completion rate. So I really do like Everett there as a value too. I think that's where you go. Because there really is no third option on this team in terms of receiver. And I think Everett is the guy who's most likely to spike up. So,
all right, before we go to Sunday, real quick, thoughts on Henderson over 64.5 rushing yards, Reid?
Yeah, I like it. Like I mentioned, I love Darrell Henderson as my captain for GPP, 64.5 at minus 115. I think that's definitely viable. Like I mentioned, Seattle has given up the 514 rushing yards in 4 weeks. Like if you're getting 70 or if you're getting 90%, even 80% of the workload for this team, and think about it, these guys are going to be on their heels, Seattle's defense, trying to defend all the guys that we're talking about, right? The Van Jeffersons, all the receivers, the Gerald, like all of them. Not Gerald Everett, but like all of those guys. And so if that's the case, Darrell Henderson is going to get you. If he gets you like a 6 yards per carry average, this might hit in like the second quarter.
Yeah. Geoff, you feel pretty safe taking the over on that one?
I do like it. I like Darrell Henderson a lot in this game as well. It's a little bit of a big total, so it's not like an automatic bet. Like I'm a little bit surprised it's not in the 50s just because of his status, but I think the Rams will ride him because it's such an important game for them with it being the division. So yeah, it's a good setup. I think he's a very good captain's pick, as Reid has already alluded to.
Fowler, go to the let's head to the Sunday main slate. Is there a spread that catches your eye? Is there one that you are targeting over others? There's just one double-digit spread, at least as of this moment. The Bucks 10-point favorites at home. After that, you got a couple of Vikings 8.5-point faves at home. Let's see, the Patriots are 8.5-point favorites on the road. Which spread, doesn't have to be among those three, but which one do you like getting after?
Yeah, that one came down. That was at like 9.5 yesterday.
It was?
Okay. Is New England that bad? Like,
is
it like, are they going to just have a hangover against Tampa Bay that you're only getting single digits against the Texans, who have put up essential like zeros?
Yeah.
Right. So
only win against the Jaguars. You got shut out last week, 40-0. And then what was that spread? We talked about that. That was like 16 or something.
17.5. I think it closed out.
Yeah. Good
but
God.
I mean, I'm going to stay away from that spot. Yeah, this is not a homer pick at all either. Like I like Justin Fields from a total standpoint, a totality standpoint. But right now the Raiders, giving 5 at home to the Bears, that looks more enticing because of Justin Fields. He's still a rookie. Like he's still doesn't mean that if the Raiders cover that Fields can have a good fantasy outing. But you're talking about now the number 1 pass rush in the NFL in the Las Vegas Raiders. Now that might be skewed a little bit. And what happened to Justin Fields last time? He faced a pretty bad or a pretty stout rush or a pass rush. And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm thinking about it now that Nagy's calling this, knowing that the Vegas Raiders are a really good pass rush. And like conspiracy theory alert here is that he wants to get him into another situation like he did against the Browns, and then he brings in Dalton. That right now at -5
That's
is
deep.
one that
Right there.
is one that I really like. Don't take me seriously. That's not going to happen. But I think the Raiders right now at -5. And look, I don't know what you guys think about the Chargers right now, Geoff. I mean, just watching the AFC West for as long as I have, I'm so used to the Chargers losing those close games, and the Browns, they missed quite a bit with OBJ. Could have had 3 touchdowns last week. So that one's kind of enticing. Although it's in LA, that one's also enticing right below that. The Browns getting 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to like that as well.
They're 3-1 straight up, but they're also 3-1 ATS talking Cleveland.
Yeah. Nick Chubb could just go nuts there. The Chargers rush defense has really kind of gotten exposed to points this year. So I'm definitely I like the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert, but that is going to be a tough game. I think I agree with Reid. I'm a little surprised they're getting 2 points. I'm definitely not on the side of him with the Bears, although I'm not big on the Bears either. This should be an easy spot for Matt Nagy. You go out, you run option with Justin Fields,
Right.
you get him outside the pocket, you pound Damian Williams. The Raiders don't have a good rush defense. This is not generally what he does in these spots. He drops his quarterback, tries to get these fancy throws, and Justin Fields gets sacked 6 times. So I would still rather take the points there, but this one could really go either way. I definitely see Reid's point with taking the Raiders. I think there's
Shorter week.
Better-
Shorter week too for Vegas.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. Anyways, I'd lean the Bears there, although I might just stay off that one. My 2 favorites. I talked about the Dolphins this morning on the sweat.
Well, yeah, you're taking them straight up, right? Is that what
I
you said?
said I won't be shocked if they win this game, and I think they're going to be very competitive in this game.
Wait a minute, you were much more confident this morning.
Okay.
You said I'm taking them straight up. We even ran like the hot take.
Let's put it
graphic.
this way. I like the Miami Dolphins money line bet. I think there is value in it. The better bet is just to take the Dolphins plus 10. It's the better bet. I think this number is inflated. What has Tampa Bay done to impress us this year? They're like bottom,
Like
of half
score a
of the league
boatload
in
of points
sacks per
before the
game.
Patriots game.
Yeah, before against Atlanta. Everyone scores against Atlanta. You see what Taylor Heineke did to Atlanta? Like,
This is the
here.
Dolphins, though, they're playing.
This is the Dolphins, and they actually have a good defense, and they have players on defense on the outside who can actually shut things down. The Tampa Bay Bucs are averaging under 2 sacks a game. Their secondary is getting torched on a weekly basis. I know it's Brissett, but he's got short options like Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki to work against. He can run a little bit in the red zone too to negate that good rush defense. I've not liked how the Bucs have looked the last couple of weeks. Now maybe Brady just gets off the floor here and they hit Chris Godwin with a couple touchdowns and they put this to bed. But I do not see this as a plus 10 game. I was a little bit shocked. I get the Dolphins have lost a couple games, but like they probably could have won against the Raiders. It wasn't a complete drubbing at the hand of the Colts, who I think are probably a little bit underrated as well. I do not see this as a 10-point game, especially with this being like in Florida. It's not really that big of a road game. So,
the Dolphins have yet to have a game with 200 yards passing, and if they're down early against Tom Brady, that's not going to.
No, they're going to have it this week because Tampa Bay allows about 5,000 yards passing every game.
Okay.
So,
True.
Hey,
again,
also Miami had some memorable upsets involving Brady when he was in New England. You know, I'm just trying to help you out here a little bit. I don't think this is going to be one of those moments.
We can play that narrative
Hey,
too.
this is the Florida Bowl.
Yeah.
Emerson, like this is the battle for the great state, the sunshine state of Florida. And
until like next week, right? I think it's Jags, Miami taking their talents
Too
to
bad.
London.
yeah, too bad the Jags could not also play in this game where it's like really like a battle royale.
That would be sick, man.
That would
Yeah,
be-
like a
They should
3
try
end
that.
zone. Now
That's
we're
what I'm
talking here. Got conspiracies and we're creating a new sport.
That's right.
But I like with Jeff, I tend to agree. Like because look at the quarterbacks, and this kind of goes to the DFS side. And I know if you guys were taking a look at the screen, I kind of pulled up Jacoby BRISSETT here. And if you look at the Buccaneers, they've averaged like the quarterbacks going up against them have averaged like over 40, like 45 yard or 45 attempts. Something crazy like that, like 40 or 45 attempts.
Tampa will not run the ball. They'll run the ball a little bit, but
And neither will Miami.
won't just run the ball.
Miami won't run the ball either because no one can run against Tampa
No,
Bay. So
exactly.
Jacoby BRISSETT is actually viable at 5,200, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Nobody is going to be playing BRISSETT, and everyone thinks, right, Tampa's this strong defense. And to Jeff's point, they really haven't showed us that they're this stout, strong defense like they were last year. And that's why it's so hard, right, when you have a number one defense, and we see it every single time. The Patriots, although a lot of those guys, opted out for COVID. The Steelers, right? Like, we're seeing it now with the Buccaneers. It's so hard to replicate your number one defense because offenses have all this tape on you. And so it's extremely hard. And we see that the secondary is banged up and a liability. And I've been saying that ad nauseum for the last month,
The Bucs
month
are
and change.
one offensive penalty, one offensive pass interference away, which should have been called against Dallas, and one 55-yarder that doinked off the outright away from being 1-3.
Yep.
They legit should probably be 1-3.
Yeah. And look, Brady's been playing out of his mind, but a lot of that, to Jeff's point as well, is that he had his touchdown rate over like the first 3 or 4 weeks was like an ungodly 9.5%. It was unbelievable, right? And so that's going to regress that if you don't run the ball, and everybody right now is is looking at that Brandon Staley interview and saying this guy is a coaching god, because right on Twitter, like, I don't know if you guys have seen it so far, it's circulating, is that this guy is essentially saying you run the ball to bring the physicality of the game, right? Not necessarily to open up the pass, because if teams want to pass, they're going to pass, right? That's not exactly what Tampa Bay is doing, even though they have a guy like Leonard Fournette, right? So
Uncle
if this
Leo,
becomes a
man.
match, like a shooting match, Jalen Waddle, you can get past this Tampa Bay defense very easily, very, very easily. So I don't hate it.
Give me, let's go to the fantasy side. Just both of you give me like your slate approved pick, guy you're most confident in rostering for Sunday's main slate, and then we'll get to golf. We got about 9 minutes to go in the show.
Can I go to Trevor Lawrence at $5,800?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
No.
Birthday boy.
Oh, I won't do that. Look, I honestly think
They're not going to win a game.
I think OBJ is someone to pay attention to. $6,000. Like the Chargers have a decent, and you can see here, and this is something that you guys can also use as well, is that people will look at this number and be like, oh, okay, yeah, not going to play any Browns receivers. But Baker Mayfield missed him on so many passes. I think he was number 1 or 2 in unrealized air yards last week. He should have had a couple of touchdowns. So I think OBJ is interesting as a pivot at $6,000. He's not necessarily my slate approved pick, but like I don't necessarily. I think Nick Chubb is always going to be someone that I'm always going to play when he's under $7,000. He's just too good. The touchdowns have not been there. This guy scores touchdowns at an unbelievable rate, but again, he didn't get a touchdown. But look, 21 attempts. If he's getting 21 attempts, 22 attempts, those touchdowns are going to come back. So again, the Chargers, we saw them on primetime. They look good against the Raiders. I like attacking that type of game because no one's going to be playing those offensive players, and Chubb and OBJ, I think, are in a decent GPP spot.
Geoff, what about you, man? Who's the guy you're going to have in all of your lineups?
I definitely agree with Reid on Nick Chubb. That is a guy I will definitely be high on. I wouldn't even have a problem making my approved pick, but I will go, and this is probably going to look so bad at this point next week, but I am fully ready to eat the Daniel Jones chalk this week.
Oh, 6, dude, you're like Pierce. Pierce hammers Daniel Jones every week because he's also doing it a lot on the ground.
And I've just started. I started last week, and he came through for me. So maybe Daniel Jones just sucking me into his vortex. But like this guy is what he did against the Saints defense. That's got to perk you up a bit. Like 10 yards per attempt, 70% completion rate, and the rushing, man, 27 yards at least, over 27 yards in 4 straight games now. It's Dallas, man. It's Dallas. He's got Saquon back. He's probably going to have at least one of Slayton or Sterling Shepard back. Golladay looked better last week. This offense looks good, and Daniel Jones at $6K, you get a high-end rushing quarterback now against Dallas. We just saw what Sam Darnold did. I mean, like, you got to take this. So I hope everybody talks themselves out of this, goes Galaxy brain at the end of the week. And I hope Shepard plays and he's questionable. And I like Kenny Golladay. I like that pairing again. I think they found something last week. So yeah. I'll go. Like I said, this is probably going to look bad in a week. And you're going to be like, why did you roster the Giants, Geoff? Why did you trust them? But I got a lot.
No, I agree. That Washington game too. He went 9 for 95 rushing. That could have been 9 for like $150 rushing.
Yeah.
Right. He got that huge run called back from a holding, and it could have been a touchdown. So yeah, absolutely. Like, don't overthink Daniel Jones and this offense now. I think we got to put some respect on the Giants offense, guys. Like, they have looked good, and Daniel Jones,
Saquon's heating up too.
Yeah. And like, I think there was a question on which New York
Giants wide receiver.
Do it. I mean, I think it's Golladay. I think the squeaky wheel, like, you bring him for a reason because what he can do. Nickname is Babytron. So keep on keeping on with Kenny Golladay.
It's a really good. Saquon 6 for 7 targets last week too. The big touchdown. But I love the triple stack here. You go Jones, Saquon, and then you just go with one of the receivers. You're gonna have to hit the right receiver. You have to wait how the injury news plays out. But like, Saquon's going to see targets. Dallas is going to have the most targets to RBs. The Giants defense stinks. They're +7 favorites. Oh man, yeah, I really like the Giants.
Galladay's only 59. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of Kenny in New York, Steve just texted me and asked me, can I confirm Kenny stole his internet from the hospital next door to him? And I'm confirming it. It is 1000% true. Like, I know there's a lot of rumors about him. That is one that I have confirmed. We got 5 minutes left in show, less than 5 minutes now. Shriners Children's Open. A great field this week, guys, in Vegas, especially when you consider this time of year. You consider like this point in the season, 7 of the top 20 golfers in the world. Who or what is the best bet? Reid.
Louis Oosthuizen plus 1,800. No, I'm not going to do that.
I was going to be like, don't drink that Kool-Aid, please, because I'm already going to have to hear it when I tee him up.
I'll give you 3 from a short odds perspective. I like Victor Hovland at plus 2,000. This guy has been amazing with his approach over like the last 12 tournaments, guys. And look, after the Ryder Cup, played in all 5 matches. He played terribly, but he's a guy that still has his irons absolutely dialed in. So I really like him. Sanjay at plus 2,800 too. I think Sanjay is another guy that you have to put some respect on here at the Shriners just because of what he's able to do. Again, a guy who's been gaining quite a bit. Like, he didn't gain with his irons last week, but someone still who's been heating up. And also, we like him on Bermuda, guys, but his bent grass putting has been really good over the last handful of tournaments. So he's someone too that, like, he's seen all of his counterparts and peers win the Colin Morikawas of the world, like Matt Wolff, not so much, with Victor Hovland. So I like Sanjay and deep, because this tournament, we've seen some guys come in from this, like where Sting was in the rafters, just coming down.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? He's so good. Is Joseph Bramlett. I know Joseph Brownlet is like a DFS darling of all of ours. I usually am not on a guy like Joseph Bramlett just because he gets so much pub and at his price, it's just too much ownership or whatever the case may be. But he's been playing well. And one thing you got to note too, and this is what I kind of alluded to earlier in the week, is that guys who play or practice in this area, Vegas, right, Palm Springs, and the desert, they got their numbers dialed at this altitude. Joseph Bramlett lives and practices out of Las Vegas. So he's someone, again, also too, that's been really, really good with his irons. Been a terrible putter for like the last 2 months. But what do we know, right? If you can get that putting just back to 0 or -1,
average, that's it. Just get it back to average.
At +1, like plus 13,000, you might play the derivatives at, his top 10 is plus 1,300. I like that as well.
I like the M call, especially because 13th last year, 15th in 2018. So he has a good track record here for sure. Geoff, what about you, dude? Look at DK Sportsbook for the Shriners Children's Hospital Open for hospitals.
Yeah, it's a good point about like guys who play well in the desert. You can take that to like Phoenix or Palm Springs. Martin Laird is a big desert guy from plays in Phoenix. Always had good desert records, so it's definitely something to look for. I just think like until we start seeing shorter numbers on Matt Wolff, I think you take it. Gained over a stroke on approach and off the tee in his last 2 rounds of last week. Runner up here last year. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I don't know, man. But like this thing is gonna flip so quickly. It's gonna go from, oh man, Matt Wolff, like he stinks. He's lost his game too. Oh, well, he's just picked up his second win. So, and he's back in like the world's top 20 again. So I think you keep taking those numbers. I really like him. I certainly don't mind Reid's call of Sungjae, who's been very consistent for a while. And I think that number is fair. Like you look around where he's at. Casey, not that big on him. Matsuyama can make a better case for it because he's been playing. So to me, I think it would be between Hideki and Sungjae, but we already talked about Hideki's putter and just not knowing what it's going to do. So I could see that. But I like just going down to Wolff. I really do. And my guy, Russell Henley at plus 5,500, man, I'm just going to keep taking him on these courses. He should have closed at the Wyndham, a very similar course. We got another shorter par 71 here. Guys like Webb Simpson win here. Austin Cook competes. You don't need to be long off the tee. You just need to be fire with your short irons. Like literally nobody in the world is better with their short irons when he's on than Russell Henley. So you give me plus 5,000 or better here, I'm going to take it. I'm just going to keep doing it. He'll get through eventually. Maybe it'll be 2024, but we'll see. Anyways, those are my 2 guys really in the mid. I'm not going to bet anyone at short odds. This field is pretty deep. I don't know why Louis plus 1,800. I guess DraftKings Sportsbook just figures I'm going to talk about him all week so people bet him or something. But, maybe they're just getting ahead of the game. But I do like that mid-tier. I think there's some interesting names there. Maverick McNeely is interesting. Taylor Gooch is interesting. But I'll throw out one long shot since Reid threw out Bramlett. I like Mark Hubbard. Been playing better. He's plus 20,000. How about Hubbard? Been playing really consistent. The guy's been really close a couple of times too, and he can go low. When he won on the Corn Ferry Tour, I think he won at like 25 under. So I like Mark Hubbard.
One guy before we leave, sorry.
Okay.
Is Patrick
No,
Reid.
it's fine. I mean, Jeff did his Jeff thing and named about 50 guys in the field.
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's a field of 156. You can't just name 2 guys or else you're gonna look like a dope. But
No way,
Patrick
man.
Reid, what do you guys think of Patrick Reid? It's at plus 4,000.
Big number, man. That's a big number.
Big number. Everyone indirectly said we won because of, you weren't on our team, period. That is scorch the earth Patrick Reid number right there. That is, would any of us be surprised if he wins this? No. I mean, I wouldn't.
Is this his first tournament since okay. There's a lot of Ryder Cup exposure too in this one. A lot of guys who are
Scotty Scheffler's in.
Yeah. And don't you think on the driving range, Reid is all the way on the other side of like the Schefflers, all those guys who are the Harris English, who are all buddy. Like, hey, we just, we're coming back from camp and we're still like, you have our camp high because, we were all together. We were still on our snowboarding trip.
We have to go. We have to wrap because you got to start like mad here in a couple minutes. But Reid does have just 5 rounds played at this venue. But then I wanted to get into like Brooks Bryson, 12 holes here in Vegas, coming
next
up
week.
on. Is that the day after? Yeah, we'll do it next week. We'll do because I have some words I'd like to share. Yeah, we have lots of time. Relax, Jeff. It's only October. Okay.
We have to wrap. We have to wrap.
We do. No, we do have to wrap. We do have to wrap. All right, here we go. I'm getting out of here. I got to go. Thanks, Reid. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Eamon, behind the scenes.
Thank you.
And thank you, Andrew, as
you.
well. Love you guys. All right, thanks, guys. We got to wrap. We got to wrap.
Wrap time.
All right. No, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
All right, we got to wrap.
Danke schön.